feel like I need to start all my videos off with. So, as you can see from the title, this is my experience dating a narcissist. I want to say, for about a month or two, it was probably the most confusing relationship, the most weird relationship to heal from, because you don't know whether it was your fault, if it's their fault, what the fuck is going on. You have no idea. And then it gets to a point in the healing process where it doesn't fucking matter, because obviously their actions are showing you that you're just here to fuck around with your mind, here to try to fuck around with your mind if you let them. The push, the pull, the stringing you along and stuff. Yeah. So, met this guy, and I don't want to if you want to give details. Also, do you ever feel like you go through shit just so you can tell other people, warn people, help them to stay away? Which I don't mind doing because Lord knows. But I just feel like I be going through things just so that I can share it, which is great because I do love helping and giving my experiences. I don't want to call it advice anymore, but my experiences, and you allowing others to apply that to their situation and see if it fits. But I just want to say that real quick because sometimes I just be like, damn, do I just be going through shit just to tell people if I'm meant to be the sacrificial lamb in a way? Not to don't take that to the next level, but so yeah, camera died, sorry. So like I was saying, met this guy. Physically was everything. It seemed at the time mentally was everything, and spiritually was everything, right? We vibed really, really well. I hadn't vibed with somebody like that in I don't know how long. And the person that I did vibe with like that, we weren't even ever dating or interested like that. We were just really good friends, best friends. And so finding that in somebody else was awesome, great. We talked all the time, video chatted all the time, did all these things. Great at keeping up with conversation, great at just being attentive, being consistent. I really didn't have a beef. There were no red flags at the time, and the first automatic red flag should have been, because it started off innocently, just getting to know one another, and then it turned into love bombing. And I think I was too lost in the sauce. I was too lost in the glitter and the butterflies and everything, and I was just I'm all in. Didn't even know him like this. But I was I'm all in, and the way that I feel and the way that he makes me feel, and I was just 1,000% about it. It just, I don't know. It just made sense. It just felt right. Which is, it's funny because I'm a spiritual person, so meditating, using my pendulums that I had at the time, and just speaking with my spirit guides, saging, renewing the energy with Palo Santo. I just thought this was sent to me. This person was sent to me for a reason. And he was. It just wasn't the reason that I thought. I truly feel he was a stepping stone for my next great thing, the person that I meant to have a partnership with, share this life with. Um, I feel like I was just, I don't know. It's so funny to like be reminiscing on this and be laughing and smiling because at the time it was not any of that. It was just a whole lot of like fuck shit. Like it started off great for like the first 2 months, and because I was in a different state, I decided to fly. I flew myself out. I flew myself out and went to go see him because I just felt like the connection. It was just like I was like, I have to meet him in person. Like I have to see if this is like what it is. Long distance. Like I have to see it. I have to whatever. So flew myself out to go see him, and like mind you, I know 2 months isn't like a long time, but we were literally talking every day from the first like introduction to during work, after work, damn near like watching movies like over WhatsApp, like video chatting or whatever, and like literally like all the time. So, and having conversations in that, and so things for me at least were growing, and it seemed like that on his end as well. But we know that's not true now. So, like I said, went out there, um, went to go see him, and I remember, whew, sorry, I'm just thinking back to like we had like an argument or something, because I had an attitude. I was frustrated. I didn't want to communicate my frustration yet. Like, you can ask me what's wrong, and depending on how mad I am, I can answer in the moment, or I'm going to have to wait, right? Because I don't want to say something I'm going to regret. And so, in the midst of that argument, and this is all beforehand, like before I flew out to see him, we had made plans where, again, I know now this is probably all a lie, but at the time, and maybe it was true. See, that's the thing about this. Like I said, it was very confusing. Don't know if it was all a lie. Don't know if at some point it was true. Could have been a mixture of both. Really don't know. We had the argument or whatever, and he had already like was making arrangements, was trying to at least come see me where I was at, because I was at the very top of the East Coast and he was at the very bottom. And so he was trying to take time off, and then we had this argument, and I was like, you know what, Brianna, you got to make this better. You got to do this because it was like your attitude, your thing, and you could have avoided it, and da 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 da. So I was like, hey, listen, I know we had this time set aside to like for you to come out here, but you know, I asked my job if I could have these days instead, and I'll just fly out and come see you or whatever. I already priced out the ticket, like I can be there. I know you'll be working, but do these days work for you? Like that's how I like soothe that situation over, right? Flying myself out to see this special person. And so he was like, okay. So that's what happened. Really nice flight. It was great because I was in snow and he wasn't, so I got to go to some warm weather. It was, like I said, I was at the very top East Coast and the very bottom. So, what was that? Okay, so on the flight there, I'm just like, Lord, please let this be like whatever it needs to be for these couple of days. Like I want it to go really well. I want it to be smooth. We're seeing each other in person for the first time. I'm at his place, whatever. Like, I just want things to go well. But then also, like, just let me see what I need to see. Because in all the glitter and all the everything, I felt like something, he wasn't telling me something, or something was being like left out. Um, so I went down there on a kind of like a little mission as well. Like, hopefully we can have a conversation and we're looking eye to eye instead of just like, talking on the phone or video chatting or whatever. I'll be able to see that something is off, that something is wrong, that he needs, but there's something there and we need to discuss it basically. Um, but I still want to be able to enjoy myself and all that. So get down there. Um, the pickup is great. Laughing, I'm happy to see him. I'm just like all about it. Um, Talking, driving. He has to work that night. Um, get to his place. You know. Yeah, and then he left for work, and did my little perusing around, just I'm trying to remember, because I was there for like a week, um, whatever. So after the first day, um, I had got like kind of like the schedule down packed or whatever. So I was making him lunch every day before work. Like he'd sleep in, like he worked like these really crazy hours, and so he would sleep in till like 11, 12 or whatever, and I'd be up because I'm naturally like I just get up, and just due to like my work schedule, which was like first thing in the morning, and that doesn't just automatically shut off because you're on vacation or whatever. So I would get up, made him lunch every day, and so we'd have like that little like hour and a half or something like that to like talk, eat, whatever, and then he would just take a nap on me and just sleep. And so in that talking though, it was all surface level. There was nothing really, and that I'll take accountability for that, because it was just like, okay, conversation, things open up around good food and whatever, and like um, you feel I don't know, you feel more compelled sometimes to want to, when you're at ease, when you're chilling. And so that was my plan. I was like, have me relaxed, fill them up with food, and maybe conversation will flow. Maybe something will come out of that. Because when I got there, I definitely knew something was there, but I just couldn't like put my finger on it. So all this goes on for a couple days. No conversation about what's going on and da da da. Just kind of, like I said, surface level stuff. Just trying to fill each other out, see what it is. And it was cool. It was all right, but it definitely felt, like I said, it was still there on me. And my last day, I was like, yo, when you get off work, let's go walk around. Like, this his apartment complex, and there's like a nice little walking area outside that. I was like, yo, when you get off, let's go for a walk. Let's, chill, because we didn't really get to like do anything because him working the whole week, which I already knew. But so he gets off that last day that I'm there, last night, and walking and talking, and like we're joking a little bit, and it was a little bit more than surface level. Like, we're talking about like some other things, and still not what I want to talk about. And again, like I said, I'll take accountability for that, because I should have just been like, yo, I know something's up. I know something the fuck is off. Like, just what is it? What is it? And but I did. I wanted him to tell me. I wanted him to want to tell me. And the scenarios I created, the walk, the lunches, they didn't provide that. So I had an attitude on the way to the airport. I was sad, I was disappointed, I was upset, and I said nothing on that drive. I was looking straight out the fucking window. gave him a hug and a kiss when he dropped me off, and I just sat there. And got on the flight. It's like a 4-hour flight. And I'm just like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? So, being the great adult that I am, I send a text message when I land. I'm like, hey, I made it. And what else did I say? I said I landed, and I texted him again when I actually made it, because I had like a 2.5-hour drive from the airport back to where I was, because I was like, I'm always working in remote areas, so I was like out in some small town, like away from the airport. So I texted when I landed, and then I texted again when I made it back to my job. And then I think I let a day or two go by, and communication had just changed. He wasn't really, I don't know, like the attention wasn't like, it was different, right? And so finally, like, I was just like, hey, and I sent him this long text message about the whole trip, what I was feeling, everything, because I needed time to process. I needed time to, I'm a person that needs time to gather my words. Like I said, if I say things in the moment, it's a lot more than what I need to be saying, what I need to be conveying. Some of it's unnecessary. Most things in the heat of the moment. So I sent him this long text message, and that was the start of like the switch up. The switch up was crazy. Uh, it was like, you would have thought I said, I slept with 3 of your best friends, and now I'm pregnant by 1, and now I still want you to be here for me and take care of me. That's what you would have thought I said. I just gave a detailed explanation of how I was feeling and how I knew something was wrong, how I knew something was off, and how I needed him to reevaluate whether or not he wanted to be with me, to be involved with me, because he didn't want to, because I knew something was there, and he didn't want to tell me. And if I hadn't brought it up, would you have told me? Still didn't know what it was, but would you have told me? Lord. Oh, the text messages, the anger. And what I had gathered from our first argument that we ever had was that, like, us exchanging texts, like, the madder we got, or the more misunderstood we got, the more confusion developed. And so I was just like, yo, we gotta talk on the phone, because you're not understanding what I'm saying, and you don't think I know where you're coming from, but I do. And so I'd be calling and calling and calling. He wouldn't answer. His excuse was he can't talk on the phone when he's mad, like, whatever. I don't know. But from there, it was just like, I guess, again, confusion happened. He thought I broke up with them. I didn't. I just said, we need to reevaluate whether or not, like, you want to be involved with me, because I need you to be more transparent. I need you to be open, because even in our conversations initially, talking with one another, getting to know one another, there was still lack of transparency. I would ask things, and he would, like, glaze over it in messages and, like, not answer, and think I didn't realize that he did not answer it. But you're not trying to make a big deal out of stuff, so you play the part or whatever. Because in the grand scheme of things, it seemed like a tiny a flaw. I think something that could be worked on, right? Nothing that was like, he wasn't doing heroin or crack. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like a communication thing, him being transparent. So from that moment on, text messages were like every other day. And if he did send a message, it was like, it was just the most confusing and crazy. He would send messages. I would call and he wouldn't answer, like back to back. And if I didn't, it was like he wanted to be chased. Like I was supposed to like blow up his phone 30 times. I was supposed to send him 55 messages. I was supposed to do all this. Like, that's what I'm not gonna do. That's what I ain't like never did. Well, I won't say never. Probably not since I was like 19 or something like that. And this was a grown ass man. Like he was like 10 years older than me, basically. So it was just really weird for this to be coming from somebody like that. But we learn age doesn't mean shit. Okay. Um, but it was like that for like 2 months. Like there would be no communication for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. Not out of the blue, a text message. No communication, out of the blue, text message. It was like, in those text messages would be starting arguments just to argue. It seemed like, because, and even when I didn't argue back, when I was just like very short with my answers instead of sending paragraphs now, it's like that almost irked him more. Like he was like fishing for a fight, like I said, wanting to be chased, wanting to be like, it was weird. It was such a confusing time. I did like, don't ask me if we were still together, if we weren't. I no clue. When we finally did have a real conversation, it was like like I said, 2, 3 months later, and I had already left the state I was working in, went back to my home state. And after being in confusion and dealing with like just craziness and immaturity that was on like a whole nother level for his age, like I said, I'm like, he's asking me, do I still care about him? Do I still love him? Do I still have these feelings? No. No. No, I don't, because I don't know what's wrong with you and I don't know what's going on. And at the time, and he was the first person and the only person that I've ever been like, I was like, let's be friends, let's work it out, because maybe us doing stuff, rebuilding through friendship and whatnot, maybe we can get back to a place where, I want to be, we can be involved with each other, right? He didn't want that. He didn't want that. And the fact that I said that I didn't care about him like that after, which is crazy because, like I said, after 3 months of hardly any communication, and when we did communicate, you just wanted to argue, but you didn't want to talk on the phone. You didn't want to really address anything. You just wanted to like string somebody along and keep somebody tied to you or whatever. I don't know. Again, I don't know what was real, what wasn't at this point. But we did have like a sort of a clarifying conversation that he did give me an answer for why he was doing the things he was doing, but I knew it wasn't the full answer. I knew there was more to the answer that he gave me, but I'm assuming he just wanted to do that like piece by piece. I'm not going for it. I'm not going for it. So we had that last like clarifying conversation. I said, friendship is on the table if you want it. His answer, I could tell he was upset because that's not what he wanted, but from his answer, it wasn't like, it wasn't conclusive or anything. You know what I mean? Like it just, I figured that's the direction we were gonna try to head in. So I sent a text inviting him like a couple of days later to my birthday gathering that I was having, and I got the weirdest text message back, and I was like, okay. I was like, it wasn't even weird. It was weird, and it was just like rude, like trying to incite something, right? And I was like, girl, why are you? I was like, this has got to be the dumbest shit that I've ever been in. So I literally just like cut all communication, deleted everything, and just spent probably like the next month and a half, like because it was such a confusing thing. It was such a whirlwind. It was such a, like, everything was my fault. Everything was on me. Um, he couldn't be with somebody who just gave up their feelings that easy. And again, confusion. You weren't talking to me for like 3 months. Like, what do you, what do you think happens to people's feelings? Like, um, so I like spent a month just like, I had never been that confused before because I didn't know what the fuck happened. I was like, how did we go from up here to down here? And it took like time to like that month and a half was just like, was it me? Was it him? Me? Was it? Like, I just couldn't let it go because it didn't make sense. Like, for me, like, I need things to make sense. Like, I needed, at the time, I thought I needed, like, real understanding, like, real closure on something. But I'm like, at the end of the healing, I was like, for what? Girl, for what? This dude clearly has issues that he needs to work through. And you ain't gotta be his savior. You ain't gotta be the therapist. You ain't gotta be the rock. You ain't even known him that long. Yes, it was great. Whether it was real or it was fake, it was the best. Was it January, February? The best, like I say, 2.5 initial months, two to 2.5 initial months that you had. Um, a feeling was great. Again, whether it was real or fake, it felt really good. But here's reality, and that's what that was. Um, like I said, it's so weird to be like laughing and smiling about this now. Because at the time, I was just like, "The fuck is going on?" I was like, "What is wrong with this man?" Like what? And then slowly but surely, like as I was processing and the healing, 2 plus 2 was adding up. 3 plus 3, 10 plus 10. All the numbers were coming together, and I was able to like. I was like, okay, that's what that really is. It was beautiful, and it was like all I needed. And I was just like, it's just like never again. It's like, oh, never again. The only downside, though, I will say, is like in the midst of me talking to people now, the slightest hint of bullshit, the slightest hint of anything left. If my energy, if my spirit is just like, which could be a little bit of paranoia and real direction, real sense. If I sense anything, I immediately am like, um, I ain't got the time. I will not ever, ever. Like I said, like beware of the narcissist. Beware of the people who make you think everything is your fault, who string you along, who enjoy having you in a place of confusion just so that you're still there, so that you're still on the side, so that they still have some strings to pull to bring you back in. So whenever they're done working out what they need to work out, they can bring you back in and be like, hey, give you whatever story they need to give you. Be like, hey, I'm okay now. I'm sorry for this. And who knows how long that'll last? Probably a month, and then it's the same old bullshit again, right? Um, so beware of that. Beware of the love bombing. Beware of the promises and I can do all this, I can do all that. Beware of them giving you information that you didn't ask for. Like, just beware. Beware. Um, it's Lord. And it's funny because it's I don't it's such a weird feeling not to feel like I don't have malice or hate or anything for anybody that I've dated, talked to, whatever. And I just came to that point after this situation. Like after this situation, I was just like, I don't talk to any of them, of my exes or people or whatever. It's just not something I've ever did, but it's such a weird thing to actually come to the point where you're like, okay, it was what it was. I, I don't know. I used to hold a mean grudge, But after this situation, I don't know what it was about this one that I fell back from feeling that way about any of them. I was just like, it was like, damn. But now the people that I'm talking to now, I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not aggressive. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, there's no more passive. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What's wrong with you? Like, and if that's not answered, or I don't like the answer, it's no. So it's just like, could be a good thing and a bad thing. Could just be residual effects of that situation. But yeah, again, just to encompass everything, beware of information that's given that you didn't ask for, of all the things they can do, how much money they make, what they can provide, what they think. Beware of the love bombing. Beware of the switch up. Beware of the blame. Beware of the stringing along. The moment, you don't have to wait until things get like fucked up and rude. The moment that you're trying to address the confusion, trying to fix the situation, and they aren't, they just want to argue, remove. Because people just like playing mind games these days. I don't know how y'all have the energy and the time to do stuff like this. Like, I barely want to talk to people, and y'all really out here spending time and money and effort to fuck with people's minds. Why? Like, do you have nothing else going on with your life? Why? So yeah, I just wanted to share that just in case anybody else, like, is in that position or in that state. Run, girl, run, boy, run, everybody. Like, don't give these people the time of day. Don't. And I know at some point it's gonna hurt. At some point it's gonna be like, why me? Why again? Don't ignore those feelings. Go through the healing. Feel what you need to feel. Feel the hurt. Feel the confusion. Feel the pain. Feel the sadness. Feel all that. And then, ride that wave and get out of it. Because you need to feel it in order to heal. If you don't allow yourself to feel, then it's just going to come up 2 months later in the middle of the mall somewhere while you're shopping. And you're just going to be like, dropping to the floor. Like, so, yeah. Yeah, that's my story. I think the biggest lesson that I've taken away is if you're like me and you wear your heart on your sleeve, you just gotta be careful. You just gotta be careful. Like I said, people apparently got time to like fuck with your head and do all sorts of things just because they can. But that's the biggest thing. Like, because it's hard to like vet people. That's where discernment comes in. That's where, if you watched my previous video, what I learned in my 20s, because I just turned 30 a couple months ago, so, and the situation was like right on the tail end of my 20s, like right in 29, so it was a great lesson to learn. But yeah, don't do that to yourself. Don't do it. The moment you sense anything, speak on it. Try to fix it. None of that works. That's all I can say.